Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, a new club sparks up discussion with their first political conference.
And the Wildcats take over the friendly confines. A look into the third ever Wildcats Classic football game hosted at Wrigley Field.
Plus, we give you pumpkin to talk about with an annual composting event.
Those stories and more tonight on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news
right now.
Good evening and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Jonas Calderon-Blum.
And I'm Braden Spate. Hundreds of protesters marched across Evanston this past Saturday, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. The rally began at Fountain Square and marched along Sheridan Road towards the home of Northwestern President Michael Schill, demanding for divestment from Israel. The Evanston rally was one of several demonstrations held across the world on Saturday. The rally was organized by Northwestern Students for Justice in Palestine, Jewish Voice for Peace Chicago, and Chicago Area Peace Action.
And 2 hours before the rally, President Schill sent an email to Northwestern students and staff. The email emphasized safety, urging community members to remain peaceful at Saturday's protest. Also in the email, mention of an increased police and security presence on campus following the week's tension over the war.
And at the same site on Sunday, a demonstration organized by local Jewish and Israeli community groups called for the release of hostages taken by Hamas.
The Northwestern Department of Safety and Security released a crime notice earlier this week in reaction to the uptick of bike thefts on campus. The email warned that the thefts have occurred at both the Evanston and Chicago campuses at various times of the day. NUPD will be hosting a bike and scooter theft prevention session next Tuesday at Norris. At this event, students, faculty, and staff can receive a free rigid lock in exchange for a cable lock and get a free helmet. NU has also hired security guards to stand by large bike racks on campus from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. 7 days a week. NNN's Lance Wilhelm has been following this story and is in the studio with me now to break it down. So Lance, what exactly has been going on with these thefts?
Right, so what students and security guards told me was there's actually groups of middle school aged kids going around stealing bikes around campus. And these kids are crafty. I mean, they're employing tactics like setting one to distract the guard while the others cut through locks. The point being, they're crafty and really hard to stop.
And what has Northwestern Police been suggesting as a way to combat that?
Right, so the big thing is really getting those rigid U-locks from the information session that you mentioned earlier. And in order to do that, you have to do two things. First, you have to register with 529 Garage. That's a national bike registry. And number two, just bring your wild card.
Awesome, thanks Lance. If you or someone you know has recently had their bike or scooter stolen, visit Northwestern Police Department's Found Property page to see if it's been recovered.
In other campus news, Northwestern is currently searching for a new vice president to head alumni relations and development. The new search advisory committee announced last week it will work to identify candidates to replace Bob McQuinn, who stepped down at the end of October after 13 years in the role. The committee includes university leaders, faculty, and staff. According to the department's website, Alumni Relations and Development works to build and maintain relationships with alumni, parents, and more.
This past weekend, Bridge NU hosted Northwestern's first student political conference. NNN's Mila Branson spoke with the organizers and participants to learn more about this event.
Student delegates engaged in a day of activities Saturday. The goal? To combat political polarization.
I want to learn more about ways to engage in political discourse on campus without it being polarizing, without being excluding.
Students had the opportunity to hear from guest speakers and a panel presentation before participating in a group discussion.
We have two more. So the morning was a little bit more like listening. The later half of the day is going to be conversing.
Although Bridge NU was founded only last year, co-founder and chapter president Camilla Vicens hopes to make the N United Conference an annual event.
We partnered with the political science department, who was generous enough to sponsor our event and bring their professors and advertise for us.
Chief Operations Director of Bridge USA, Ross Irwin, who spoke as a panelist, expresses some of the challenges related to creating open communication.
Battle and the effort that Bridge USA has in front of itself is not to convince a bunch of people that this is a good idea, but instead to show them this is how you would do it, right? And then to show them that it does actually work.
Here at Norris University Center, student delegates seem to share a sense of optimism around the conference's ability to spark conversation around political polarization.
I think that what N United is trying to accomplish is facilitating free speech at the student level.
Vicens also remains hopeful toward the goal of addressing polarization.
I think some of the best conversations I've had so far was just getting people to come out here today.
Opening doors to more open conversations. Mila Branson, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Mila. Bridge NU will continue to host events throughout the rest of the year, hoping to spark further political discourse. After the break, why it's never too late to advocate for change, a look into the woman behind a new city committee.
Plus, NU field hockey has some new bling, how the team became Big Ten champions.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back. Last Sunday, number 1 seed NU field hockey took home a 1-0 victory over number 3 seed Maryland in an intense double overtime game for the Big Ten Tournament Championship. The game-winning goal was scored by freshman forward Olivia Bencole. This win was the team's first conference tournament championship since 2014 and the program's first ever sweep of the Big Ten regular season and tournament titles. With an 18-1 record, the Cats received the conference's automatic berth into the NCAA tournament, which begins next week.
In other Northwestern sports news, Wrigley Field is home to the Chicago Cubs, but the stadium isn't only for baseball. NNN's Alexia Cadota-Browner brings us to the friendly confines for a look at the Wildcat Classic.
Cats football returned to the iconic Wrigley Field last weekend for the Wildcat Classic game against the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Attendance at this year's Wrigley game was over 41,000 people.
Watching a game at Wrigley Field is incredibly unique. We rarely get to play on this kind of fields. I mean, I think it's a lot of fun because you get to include a lot of the people that live in Chicago as well as like all of us that live in Evanston.
This game was only the third time Cats football took over the friendly confines, with previous games in 2010 against Illinois and in 2021 against Purdue. On Saturday, the friendly confines was packed with more Iowa fans than Northwestern, even for an NU home game.
It's wonderful. There's energy. It's Wrigley Field. There's bars. There's people everywhere.
Unlike the usual free student tickets at Ryan Field, Wildcats Classic tickets were $50 for students. Although they had to pay, some said the experience was worth it.
Watching your fellow classmates, your fellow students going out there and giving their all, it's something that is really special to watch.
A tight game all the way until the end, the Hawkeyes won 10-7, leaving hopeful Northwestern fans devastated.
That game was probably the most emotionally invested I've been in a football game all season, and now I'm the most heartbroken I've been all season. Definitely going to go home and have to be a little sad about this one today.
The Wildcats will face the Hawkeyes again next October in Iowa.
Reporting from Wrigley Field, Alexia Cadota-Browner, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Alexia. The next football game is against the Wisconsin Badgers in Madison this Saturday at 2:30 p.m.
Well, NU didn't get a win at Wrigley. We always have wins in science. NNN's Caitlin Bender-Thomas brings us under the microscope on Northwestern's latest science news.
Thanks, Braden. I know some of you pulled some all-nighters last week cramming for those midterms. Turns out it likely put you in a better mood. Northwestern neurobiologists have discovered that sleepless nights induce a tired and wired state, resulting in a bubbly mood that can last for a few days. Researchers do caution against pulling all-nighters as a means to improve mood, as the antidepressant effect is temporary and a good night's sleep remains essential to overall well-being. In other science news, Northwestern scientists have developed a skin cream that accelerates wound healing and protects the skin from sun damage and chemical burns. The synthetic melanin mimics the natural melanin in human skin, but it absorbs more free radicals. The technology could be used in sunscreens, moisturizers, blister and open sore treatments, and potentially for skin burns from radiation exposure. That's all I have for tonight. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Caitlin, for that science update.
Last Sunday, ASG hosted its inaugural cultural summit. NNN's Gabe Bernick takes a look at the eclectic celebration.
The Japanese American Student Association, Hindu Yuva, and Soul for Real are just some of the 14 student groups who showcase different traditions in their culture at Norris. The event was brought together by Taishia Woods, one of the co-executive officers of ASG's Justice and Inclusion Committee. She says the purpose of the event is to increase communication and intersectionality.
So really at Northwestern, because it's a predominantly white institution, we really want to make sure that we're doing what we can to uplift voices of marginalized students on our campus. We just wanted to do something like lighthearted and fun, but also really meaningful and important to increase the visibility of our cultural orgs to the rest of the Northwestern community.
This event featured dancing, singing, and food. Caleb Evans, who recently joined the Northwestern Community Ensemble, a student-run gospel choir, sang with NCE at the celebration.
Expressing myself through music is just a way to show who I am as a person. So I feel like it's probably one of the best ways to communicate your culture to others.
For ASG, the Cultural Summit was an opportunity to raise awareness of different causes, giving attention to overlooked issues at the university.
So these expressions of culture are truly what holds together communities, and that's why I think it's really important to honor cultures in that way and not just in the classroom through a historical presentation.
The ASG Cultural Summit serving as a reminder to embrace heritage. Gabe Bernick, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Gabe. ASG hopes to host more cultural events next quarter.
But before you head home for break, you might want to know about a new bus route headed to O'Hare. The Pulse bus route leaves the Davis Street CTA station every 15 to 20 minutes and gets passengers to the airport in approximately 50 minutes. The route has just 17 stops compared to the existing Route 250, which has 84 stops. All Pulse buses include Wi-Fi and stops are ADA accessible. The route is already running as of last week.
Last month, Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss declared October Pro-Choice Month, and then Simone Garber gives us a glimpse into the woman behind that decision.
I think this is a critical issue that impacts every woman.
Gretchen Brewster knows the importance of having a choice.
She said, yeah, 4 years ago when you had your bladder surgery, he took out your uterus and your ovaries. I said, he never discussed this with me.
After having a non-consensual hysterectomy, all Brewster received was a formal apology. This experience helped inform her decision to create the Evanston Pro-Choice Rally Committee, an organization that took full form after the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
I knew it was going to happen, and yet it was painful, very painful. I mean, 50 years, and now it's taken away.
The committee is made up of several members, people of all ages, from all walks of life.
I had a committee of 4 stalwart volunteers, average age 80 plus.
At this year's rally, Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss signing a proclamation declaring October Pro-Choice Month, a move the committee says extends to everyone.
When it comes to social justice, it belongs in every room, right? Not just when it pertains to Juneteenth or reparations or whatever it may be. It belongs in every room to make sure that lens is on it.
Brewster says her work as an activist is not just a hobby, but her vocation.
I have other things that I could be doing with my life, but I cannot because of where we are on this. It, to me, is my passion right now.
Brewster's call to action for all those who share this passion?
Get out there, do something, whatever you can, and don't give up.
Simone Garber, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Simone. Brewster says she plans to expand the annual pro-choice rally by inviting notable speakers such as Michelle Obama to attend. Coming up, how Wildcat celebrated the Festival of Lights with this year's Diwali events.
And coming up, we have some nice early November weather this week and more sunshine ahead.
Ready, set, go!
Welcome back. There's a new item in Main Library that students are squawking about. Last month, birdwatching kits were placed in the Main Library after encouragement from Sustain NU and birdwatching groups on campus. The kits include binoculars and a guide for bird watching.
I just hope this makes it more accessible for a wider group of people to bird on campus and take some time to just appreciate the landscape that we're a part of.
All you need is your wild card to check out the kit at the main library circulation desk, which is yours for 3 days.
Last Sunday, Hindu Yuva Northwestern hosted a multicultural event in celebration of Diwali this upcoming weekend. NNN's Ananya Chugh went to check it out.
With Diwali just around the corner, Northwestern religious organizations like Hindu Yuva are hosting free events leading up to the festivities.
But Diwali is something the entire country comes together to celebrate. Because we want to bring in that flavor of home and give a space for not just Hindus but everybody who's interested in learning more about this beautiful culture.
Here at the Pixtager Concert Hall, Wildcat Diwali celebrates with a lively performance of music and dance. Featuring the Surabi Ensemble, a collective group of music and dance artists based in Chicago. The main performance combined Indian, Senegalese, Arabic, and Spanish cultures to create a musical blend.
We have it all here in our ensemble. We got different genres of music, we got different genres of dance, so we can present it contextually relevant for Deepavali.
The group's mantra, diversity within music, sharing in an overall positive message.
It's the intent and purpose is essentially compassionate togetherness. We need to be able to live and let live.
Each member of the group spent years perfecting a specific style.
The specialty that I bring to the group is a lot of Middle Eastern and North African music, but I've also studied a lot of South Asian music as well.
The group giving a performance to remember in the spirit of Diwali. Ananya Chugh, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Ananya. And come this Sunday, the Northwestern South Asian Students Alliance is hosting their own Diwali celebration in partnership with Northwestern Religious and Spiritual Life, Northwestern, and the Northwestern Department of Multicultural Student Affairs.
Another holiday has come and gone. The city of Evanston hosted a pumpkin composting event last Saturday for the leftover Halloween decorations. NNN's Micah Sandy carves out the scoop on the event.
With the Halloween holiday come and gone, pumpkins are on their way out. To prevent pumpkins haunting landfills, the city of Evanston runs its Great Pumpkin Compost Collection event, located in the parking lot of the Lorraine H. Morton Civic Center from 9 to noon. The city invited residents to drive up to drop off their old pumpkins.
I think our Evanston residents fully understand the need, the want, and they enjoy coming and basically having the opportunity to compost.
The event drawing out Evanstonians interested in minimizing waste.
We typically will see 150 to 200 vehicles come through.
According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, as of 2020, 37% of methane emissions from human activity comes as a result of livestock and agricultural practices. This includes beloved Halloween pumpkins. Beyond just pumpkins, the city is committed to limiting emissions by utilizing a curbside composting model.
We have our own curbside yard waste carts that are also an outlet for people to use for composting such items as leaves, sticks, pumpkins, those types of things as well.
No car, no problem. The composting event not only welcomed wagons and bags.
I'm not sure if we knew about it last year, but we live not too far, so we decided we'd just fill up the wagon and walk on over.
But also slam dunks.
I think it's a good way to get rid of the pumpkins so they don't end up in landfill, and yeah, excited to see how big the pile gets.
Growing a patch of community through ecology. Micah Sandy, Northwestern News Network.
If you missed this event, you can still have fun composting your pumpkin by smashing it and covering it with a layer of leaves.
And while Halloween last week featured a few flurries, there is some sun on the other side. NNN's Naya Reyes gives us a peek into this week's weather. Naya?
That's right, Jonas and Braden. Last week we got a preview of the winter weather that's coming soon, but this week we don't have to worry about it. We're hanging out in the 50s. Tomorrow we're going to have a high of 57 and a low of 47 at night. In the afternoon we're going to see some rain showers, so make sure you pack your raincoats in the morning. Thursday has a high of 52 and at night a low of 38. There should be no rain, but it will be cloudy. And luckily, the sun is coming out for the weekend. Friday is going to be sunny with a high of 53, and then at night, temps are going to drop down to the mid-30s. Sunday will be a little warmer, though, with a high of 52 and a low of 41, but a little less sun. The good news is we'll be in week 9 by then, so the end is near. I'm Naya Reyes, and that's been your weekly weather report.
Thanks, Naya. Can't wait for the weekend sun. And coming up, exchanging art, how Evanston's artists are reviving old creations through an art swap.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
If you're looking to strengthen your art game, this might be the event for you. Local art enthusiasts gathered this weekend at the Noise Cultural Arts Center to refresh their collections. NNN's Paris Franzway paints a picture of this creative trading event.
I got some pottery kind of pieces and it took the house.
Photos, paintings, and jewelry. Any kind of art is welcome at the semi-annual Evanston Art Swap.
It's sort of like a clothing swap. You bring art that you no longer love, or if you're an artist, maybe you're cleaning out your studio, and you bring it to this event with a whole lot of other people who have art.
Through a lottery system, participants wait for their numbers to be drawn.
Okay, that was 9, let's go 10.
And once their number is pulled, they can take home as many items as they brought.
The only thing I'm hoping to pick up is something that excites me and that I feel like I can look at for a couple of years.
Holly Walters came to the art swap with her mother, helping her swap watercolor creations.
Things that caught my eye were the things that were slightly irregular or had a little strangeness to it. So we got some pieces last time that I just love. They're right in my living room, prominently displayed.
She loves that the swap is open to professional and casual artists.
She wouldn't have the confidence to participate in a real exhibit or whatever. So this is right in the middle. It's just fun, middle of a Saturday afternoon, running errands, show off art for a few minutes.
Creators and collectors wanting to refresh their space, but save art from the landfill.
The feeling that it's going to somebody who's really choosing it, I think is nice.
And any of this art that doesn't find a new home today will be donated to Evanston Made. Then it'll be auctioned off and the proceeds will support local Evanston artists.
No to a mermaid. The swap, bringing art lovers together and giving their pieces a second life. Paris Franzway, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Paris. Keep an eye out for their next art swap this spring. So, Jonas, I hear that you might have a little bit of artistic talent. Is it painting? Is it drawing? What is it?
So I don't know who lied to you. I have no artistic ability. The closest thing I kind of have is that I can sort of take photos.
Sort of. That's not very, encouraging.
I think I can take photos. The people in the photos sometimes disagree.
Yeah, well, I got your back because in 8th grade I was cut from art enrichment. That was the only one. So,
It's kind of impressive.
Yeah, well, what can I say? It's at Northwestern. So that is all the time we have for tonight. I'm Braden Spade.
And I'm Jonas Calderon-Blum. Be sure to check out our special Politicat show, Road to 2024, coming up right after this. From all of us here at the Northwestern News Network, have a great night.